All right, let me show you how to make a Mastodon instance with just 6 files. That's all you're going to need. You do need 2 things first. You need a domain that you can create a certificate on and is publicly available, and you need a way to host those files. I'm going to do it with ngrok, which will expose my laptop to the internet, but if you want to do this for real, you should probably have something like an S3 bucket or just anywhere you can host files. You could do it on GitHub pages, something like that. So get a domain, get a place to host some files, and then let's dive in. Okay, so Mastodon is based on this standard called ActivityPub, and ActivityPub is basically just passing around a bunch of JSON files. It's a JSON file that references another JSON file, and you assemble all these together to create something. Mastodon is one service that uses this protocol, but there's others available like PeerTube and stuff like that. So in this case, we're just going to replicate what we need for a Mastodon instance using the ActivityPub protocol. And to get started, we're going to look at my actual Mastodon profile. So here it is on Mastodon Social. This is me with all the information. One thing, you have your text, where your user's actually located, the username and server, but I want to be more popular, I guess. Let's just say we would want to lie about how many people we're following or following us. That would be kind of neat. And when you host your own instance, you can do things like this. So let's show you how to lie on Mastodon with your own custom user. One of the tricks we're going to be relying on is any Mastodon user. You can actually just go up to the URL and type .json after it to see the JSON representation of your user. So I can take this URL here, and then I can download that file. So if I do curl, let's just see it real fast in actual formatted JSON. It has a bunch of information in here. It's not that big of a document. So there's some spec up at the top, and then the main portions that we actually care about are here in the document. So let's go ahead and save that file to disk. Let's just call it justin.json. So first thing we're going to do is actually just run a web service on my laptop that'll serve the files for us. So we need some way to expose the files, even just locally first. To do that, we'll look at Caddy. Caddy's a web server that has a built-in file server. So it's really nice like that. And we'll listen to the access log and say, open up port 9000. Go back over here and let's run ngrok to expose it to the internet. Ngrok is pretty simple command. Ngrok is going to be HTTP service, and it's on port 9000. So it's going to route some external traffic to my local host on port 9000. And there we go. We have a publicly accessible domain now. So if I go to this domain, let's do it down here real fast. Curl. I didn't put a protocol. There you go. So there's the JSON file that I'm serving. I switch over here to Caddy. I can see that it actually was accessing it. And of course, I can go to my browser and browse to it. So now I have 2 of the most important things. I have the user file and I have a domain name here. What I want to do now is actually use this domain name as where my Mastodon instance is hosted. So let's minimize ngrok here and okay, so here's VS Code. Here's my Justin.json file. Let's replace all of the mastodon.social, mastodon.social. There you go. Replace that domain. I actually don't even want the users either. I'm not going to worry about that. And let's just replace Jagar as well, because I don't need any of that. That was the old user. That's not me anymore. All right. So we're going to replace that with this new domain that we got from ngrok, and that's it. Actually, it'll just straight up replace that, and we'll use a top level domain for pretty much everything. Let's replace all those instances. The one thing that we do need to add back here is this ID. Get that a little bigger. This ID is the actual file that we're writing into right now. So this is Justin.json. We have followers, following, inbox, outbox, collections. We're not really going to use that stuff. URL, we can replace this. Why did that? Oh, because I had the full search. Preferred name, let's say Justin. And let's say this is our summary. So this is a description here for us. So this isn't real. We don't really care about devices. There's a public key. Don't care about it. This will be Justin.json. Man, I missed all these Mastodon social instances. But I actually don't care about these. I don't need a shared inbox. Not required. I don't need images, but we are going to use that later, so we're just going to leave it for now. So let's save this file. Now we have our user file, but we have no way to discover this user. So something that Mastodon uses is something called a webfinger, which is a way to discover entities based on some well-known location. And they use this folder called, uncreatively, .wellknown. So we can take this well-known folder and put webfinger file inside of it. Webfinger is very basic. Again, it's just like ActivityPub. It's JSON files that reference JSON files. So we just need to find the actual format for webfinger to discover our user. And thankfully, we can do that again using the existing Mastodon instance that we have. Okay, so webfinger uses a post or a query on the URL to discover users, account users at a domain. So the URL is something like this. We can do, again, we're using my existing Mastodon social user. HTTPS, Mastodon social, and this is in the .well-known directory called webfinger. And there's this query is going to be for a resource, and it's an account, and then the username, jgar@mastodon.social. And let's pipe that through JQ just to, oops. I need to escape that or get it. And that's what webfinger returns, is it returns this JSON, which says, here's some aliases for the name, here's the name itself, and then links. Here's the profile, where you can get more information, and templates. So let's copy all that. And we're going to put it directly into our folder here. We have webfinger. And once again, we want to replace all of these instances of my old username with the new one. As a matter of fact, I don't even need aliases here. I don't have any aliases. This is a fake account. And actually, now that I think about it, I don't need that. I just need myself. I just need a link to myself. So now I have a webfinger endpoint that doesn't even care about what parameters it's been given. It always returns the same output, which is myusers.json. And I have myusers.json, which returns a bunch of other information. So we should be able to discover this user now in any Mastodon instance. Just like any Mastodon search, we want @Justin at the domain that is hosting it. Again, we're going through ngrok for this. It's coming back to my laptop. So let's search. You can see it came in, webfinger, Justin.json, okay. And there's my user. This isn't real. I actually don't know why it got those images. Mastodon heavily caches some things. Oh, I know why. I know why it got those images. Because we didn't even change them. We used the same avatars that I was already using on my profile. So it reached back to itself, grabbed the images, and boom, like it's me. Like that's just, it looks like it's an instance that I'm at, but this is the new username. This isn't real. Same date as when I joined. So we can leave those images. If we wanted to, we could download them. We could host them locally, but it doesn't matter. We can just point them to any image online. But let's lie here about these posts and followers real quick. So if you see back here in the user JSON, we have followers and following are two files that are typically available based on the user. So let's see what those look like for a real user like myself. We're going to point it to my user and just append the .json to it again and filter that with JQ. And this is it. This is the entire followers file. And if I look at following.json, there it is. It's basically the same thing. They, again, reference other links. You can see here at the end, I have a followers page 1 and a following page 1. That would actually list out all of the followers and following people. But let's go ahead and create these in our new Mastodon instance. And remember, I just made them at the root of the directory. So I can just create a file here called followers. And let's say we want, how many is that? That's a million followers. There we go. We got 1 million followers. We can reference another page for it, like followers page 1. It doesn't have to work. It's not even going to verify. It's never going to check. So I can do that and then do the same thing for following. And let's say we're following, I don't know, 1 account. Okay, we save both those files and let's go back to Mastodon to search for it. So one thing I found really interesting about Mastodon is it heavily caches the search of these profiles. So if you're not using either different endpoints or using different servers, you're likely going to get these cached every time. I do have a user, Justin at mastodon.jagar.net. This is a user that I set up a little while ago. All this is on GitHub, so you can see all the files themselves. And this one I know works. You can see the 1 million followers down here, 1 following, 1 post. If I actually click the follow button, it will say, oh, look, you're trying to follow this instance. And if I GitHub, Rothgar, static Mastodon, again, it's all the files that we were just talking about. We have our well-known featured followers. The only ones you really need are this well-known webfinger and Justin, but I added the other ones, following, followers, and some other just to show you what it would look like for a full instance or a full user. Most of them are not used, but it's a good example just to see what the JSON is behind each object so you can kind of understand how it works together. So go play with it, create your own instances, figure out how it is that you want to use it. This would be good for situations for announcement servers or something that you just need a push-based 1 user per domain, and you can just push out information. I need to include following so that people can actually follow the instance, and to do that we actually have to have some active server component, which I'm going to do in a future video. But for now, just go ahead and play with it and see what it looks like so that you can create whatever users you want on whatever domains. So have fun.